Okay, welcome. We are back. I'm very sorry about the audio issues. Zoom refuses to connect to Facebook. It just says broadcast. Okay, welcome. We are back. I'm very sorry about the audio issues. Zoom refuses to. Okay, so it's a feedback issue. Refuses to connect to Facebook. It simply says will not broadcast. Despite tests that we did all day, our technician just doesn't know what to do. So we are broadcasting to YouTube and we'll relay this video to our Facebook account. Thanks for understanding. So on with the show, and we're going to be joined very shortly by cast and crew from Los Angeles, California, Hollywood. Here we are. So the film that we are going to be discussing is called Motor. Sasha, played by Lola Nekrasova, an immigrant actress moonlighting as a rideshare driver, finds herself in trouble after her car crashes in the desert and her passenger goes missing. She claims memory loss and agrees to assist an LAPD detective in reconstructing the accident from a damaged dash cam recording, only to turn from a witness into a suspect. So there's a complicated plot device related to Lola's amnesia. This is a really fantastic indie film, a neo-noir that also fuses genre movie making with an art house kind of sensibility. It builds on a very rich tradition indeed of indie noir filmmaking. It has fantastic acting, great visuals, very innovative use of phone footage and locations. So we're going to welcome to this Q&A the director, Andrei Konst, and his cast. Hello, California. Can you hear me?
Howdy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
Our video.
Great. Welcome, Jay Krimis. And Andrea, are you there?
Yes, he's connecting.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
How's it going so far?
Yeah, great. It's been a great festival. Hello there.
Hi guys, Dimitri.
From England. Hey, Dimitri.
Hi, nice to meet you, James.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, this is a pleasure. And Andre, fantastic, the man himself. Is Lola going to be joining us?
She should be in a second, yes.
Great. Okay, well, let's hold the fort just until she comes. We had an unfortunate technical incident that Zoom refused to live stream to Facebook. Our technician just doesn't know what happened. So we're live streaming to YouTube. We've posted the link on our Facebook site, so our Facebook viewers will also be watching. So there we are.
Great.
Anyway, so I've just been saying nice, great things about Motor. This is, really cool film. We're really pleased to be supporting it and showing it in our Brighton Rocks Festival. So over to you guys, a little introduction each one. If you could just talk briefly about your background, how you came involved in this project, and take it from there.
Excellent.
So yeah, we could start with you.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Andre.
Yeah. Yes. Hi. So this is, I see it says Konst iPad. This is Andrei Konst, the director of Motor. And first of all, thank you for having us. This is great. We understand that there may be some technical issues or whatever, because this is not something, we are used to be doing.
Right.
So,
indeed.
Kudos to you guys to try to, do anything at all. Many
Thank
festivals that we dealt with get canceled altogether.
That's
So,
great, Andre.
yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm glad there's Jay, there's Dmitry. Is Lola around?
She's trying to. I just checked in on her. She's going to join. Just give her a minute, and then Delon should as well. I think they're just both having a bit of technical issues, but we can get started, and they'll make their way in.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So so basically, back to introducing myself. I'm a Russian-born and raised in Siberia, actually a filmmaker, but currently I'm based in LA, and sort of toiling on the margins of Hollywood, as it were, and this is my second feature, and it was really fun to do because, in a sense, the one that I made before was kind of like bigger, even though not big by conventional standards, but it was still kind of bigger and felt kind of bigger. So for this one, it was great to go back to the sort of like Dogma style punk rock, DIY approach that I'm more used to, and this is why, I'm, pleased as a punch with how it came out, and very pleased and excited to share it with the world. Too bad we're not in Brighton right now.
Absolutely.
But
still the margins of Hollywood.
Right. There
this
we
is
go.
a place I want to hear more about, the fringe kind of aspect of your work and all that. I think we have Lola and Delon joining us.
There we go.
I have to
It's connecting to audio. There we go. There she is.
Lola twice now.
Hey, hey
enough
guys.
Lola.
hello.
Hey,
Not sure if you can see me.
We have a headshot of you.
we have a really beautiful photograph of you.
Very
Oh,
beautiful.
there we go.
That's even better.
Happy to see you guys.
Great, thanks for joining us, Lola, who's the star of Motor.
Yvonne, hello.
Well,
What's
that's
up, guys?
That's a very heavy
Hello.
title
Hey.
to carry.
There
My
we
hair
go.
is a little crazy today.
Wow, I love it though. Love it. Yeah, very cool. Never seen you like that. Haven't
to
seen
see
you
you, Andre.
in a while, actually, with the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
very good to see
So,
you. Yeah.
James, with your
Hello.
permission, we will just turn it into,
Yeah.
like catching up session.
Absolutely. Let's crack open some beers. It's
I will tell you about my hair, and my
Right.
styling tips, which is a German machine. I bought a motor of my own, and just do my own thing,
and
Alrighty,
Delon,
well,
you're
don't
driving.
become
I see you're
the people's
driving.
wives
This is
up
very
there. Yeah.
It's I wanted to be home for this. My apologies. I've been at the DMV. I'm outside of the DMV right now. I've been
Oh,
here
man.
since 7 in the morning. So it's
That
been
is-
quite a
that
nice
is-
Friday.
that is so LA.
It's an LA Friday. It's a hot LA Friday.
Oh boy. Anyway, well, it's a great visual. Anyway, well, yeah, it's going to be fun. We're just going to talk about what we love about this movie. I gave a little introduction what I loved about it beforehand.
There we go.
Among some of the best things is there is an homme fatale, which is kind of your character, Jay, right? And I'd like to hear how you came up with this idea of the homme fatale. And another great thing is we have a basically positive vision of rendition of Russian character in this film, which is pretty rare, right? Not to be the badass. So I hope you guys are going to talk about that.
And if I can interject, Jay, on your behalf a little bit, by homme fatale, we mean that like the opposite of femme fatale in the film noir, which Motor is very, very typical to have like sort of Black Widow kind of, woman who would lead the man astray and whatever, which was at the time that it was evolving, reflected, male anxieties about, growing female empowerment, I guess, in the 40s and the 50s during World War II. So one of the things, because our film being film noir, but it's still revisionist, right? In a sense, we placed you in the position of a femme fatale, but you are an homme fatale, right? So we gave more of a positive role to the female character, which traditionally would be not, will be leading you astray. Instead, you are leading her astray, right? So that's the homme fatale of it all. Yeah. So yeah, how does it make you feel, Jay?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it was, first of all, this project was a blast to work on. But it really was Lola and Dimitri's kind of vision, and of course you, Andre, led this, veered the ship towards it. And I was just happy to be on board for the ride. It was amazing. The whole, from the inception to the actual filming, and then of course post I wasn't involved so much in, obviously, but it was all a collaborative effort, but the whole time was really Lola and Dimitri's vision, and we riff, as you know, a little improv, which became a little more distilled into a script, and then Andre said, this is the locked script. So I can't, really take too much credit for the creation of the character besides what we kind of riffed on. And it was a blast, but as far as the conception of yeah, I mean, it was, look, don't get given, it's like the expression, don't look at the trumpet players too positively, they'll overplay. It's the same thing with actors, I think. Don't give them too much leeway, they'll just run with it, because all they want is attention in the first place. But it was really nice to work with to have some leeway, but also Andre's accomplished, and he's a great communicator, and let us do what we want to do within reason. And then there were moments when Lola had a vision and he had a vision, and Lola's a very strong female. You don't want to mess with her in general in life. So usually she got her way. I'm kidding. It was a little bit of a push and play, but it was a really fun, new for me experience in creating and collaborating from the inception to the actual filming. But it was a blast to play that character. So much fun.
That's great to hear. Lola, can we hear from you about your experience?
Yeah, I think I was so happy to hear kind words from you, Jay. On my side, it was a joy creating together. But overall about the movie, I think this topic about who's fatale, is it a man or a woman? The movie leaves you with more questions than answers, which I feel is very relevant to our everyday life. And specifically, if we're talking about the story of a woman immigrant in America, there's so many questions. Why is she here? What does she feel? What is she going to do? Do the men around her help her, or they let her sink deep down to the bottom? So my personal experience was the process of exploration of all of that. It was interesting because we didn't have the script to the very last minute. So it was nonstop discovery process for each one of us, I'm sure. And everybody tried to fulfill the part, whatever you were doing on this project with personal kind of agenda, what's happening with me? How can I give it to the character? And for that, thank you so much to Andre, because it was a true exploration, It was far from this Hollywood cookie cutter when you have a script and you just gotta follow. No, we explored a lot. And that was a blast. Thank you for that.
No, I don't doubt that at all. I had a conversation with Andre a week or so ago, and we talked for about 2 hours almost about Renoir and all the emigre filmmakers and Iranian cinema and all your influences that you fused this film with. But you still made a very enjoyable and entertaining film, Andre. So can you just talk to us about that mix and how you did it?
Well, yeah, I know. like first of all, I'm not sure it's like that entertaining, but also no. But seriously, that I hope so. And we were basically trying to reboot what is by now a traditional genre, right? And especially steer it both away from the sort of television style crime drama, and at the same time from postmodern, kind of pastiche, Tarantinesque kind of thing, where like, oh, boom, boom, and so trying to make it real and make it a little bit of make it fresh, but at the same time, very mindful, and got a lot of crap sometimes, on because it's very easy to go wrong with that, like sometimes it's a little like it's a little too slow. Is it deliberate? Yes, because part of the like for me, part of the suspense, and maybe it's just the Otto Preminger, sadistic director talking to me, but for me, it's great to kind of deny, the gratification of resolution or whatever, to leave you suspended, like I'm sure, James, you're familiar with Jacques Rancière, and he talks about, a thwart, like when there's a progression in the plot and you are kind of into it, and then slow down, we are going to enjoy the landscape, or something like that. This is inherently wicked,
Yes.
but this is that I find this is a way of refreshing what became a cliche, so this is why, like I even worried, like posting this trailer earlier, I was worried like, oh well, this is selling it as like this kind of like, whoa, stuff is happening kind of movie, but maybe it's not always, but I hope you be the judge, but that was the idea. The intention was to basically reboot a genre that we love so much, and that's why it is, like it is worth doing.
Yeah,
That's why it's worth refreshing.
We think
But
you did a really good job.
because it was also coming from I think like from very authentic place, because we were improvising. There's a lot of stuff was based, while not being entirely documentary, but it was based on some stories that happened to Lola, that happened to that happened to me, to friends of mine, and everybody was like, we only had ourselves and our own unconsciousness to draw upon. So this is why a lot of stuff is real. Like I showed this movie to one guy in particular, where Dmitry, you know who that is, but I was kind of worried because there's so many of his lines ended up, in the movie, and I was worried about that, So he watched it, and he said, "Well, this is really a surrealist movie," and I was like, "Yes, I take that." As long as you don't think it's like ripped off your life. So I think this combination of trying to refresh the genre and also going to authentic places in terms of performances, and plot, hopefully created this monster.
No, it's a beautiful monster. So perhaps a question for Dimitri: how did you get this monster made as a producer, and with the director talking about Jacques Rancière and Otto Preminger? Like, how did you sell that?
Dmitry, no sound.
No sound.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So as you guys can tell from even this conversation, I mean, half of it I didn't even understand. So I'm completely mindful that the creative people can convince me of almost anything from a creative standpoint. And so sort of early on, I realized it's not really worth fighting with them over that, right? That's just not my strength. I like movies, but this is really my first time working on a movie in this capacity. And so I really saw my role as just enabling whatever they want to do, as much as possible and within reason, right? And really my favorite part about working on this was, for example, Andre, I've known since I was 5 years old back in Siberia, right? So we had, you know, an implicit trust relationship. You know, Lola, you know, same thing. Delon, I mean, I've known since college. Jay, I met in this process, but we were all kind of working as, not even a team, almost as a family. Everybody contributing whatever we could. Like I remember at some point we were shooting something in the car, for example. And I remember stopping by, you know, Jay's bar, you know, to like get some water or something like that. Like the point is, everybody just contributed whatever we could. Lola's laughing. That was late at night, and it was funny. But yeah, so in terms of the production, basically, you know, the way we from a financial standpoint, basically the way I saw it is, we're not going to spend a ton of money, and that affords us the freedom to be very creative and just see what we can do, right? I mean, if you have a huge amount of money on the line, which again, that's a great way to go about it, and I hope we do that at some point. But when you don't have as much money on the line, you can just be much crazier in some ways, and so that's exactly what we did.
And you did it. Perhaps about the making of, I'm sure you have loads of great production stories, but I'd like to hear about the cinematography in particular. I mean, it's very impressive visuals. It's a great neo-noir kind of lush look. So how did you achieve that?
Well, I will take some of it, but then I think also like I wonder how you guys felt, you know, on the other side of the camera with that, because part of it was like an aesthetic choice, you know, to try to make like part of this reinvention, you know, like not to go with like vintage, you know, celluloid, you know, black and white or whatever, you know, but to go like all digital all the way in, you know. But one of the inspirations was Steven Soderbergh, obviously, you know, who's experimented, and Jay is familiar with firsthand, having starred in one of his movies, you know, and some of the approach we used, you know, what was because of that, because of we wanted to explore the aesthetics of this digital, but there was also a practical consideration. You know, for example, we knew that we needed to stylize a look of a dash cam, you know, essentially, and after trying several, we decided that they looked like just too weird, you know. Like everybody looks like a dog, you know, a horse, you know, like like all the like wide angle crazy stuff, you know.
Not Lola. She wouldn't look like a dog.
No. We decided to go with an iPhone for that, you know, bearing in mind that you can use your iPhone if you are a rideshare driver. You know, you can use it for maps, you know, and for like you can use the app, but you can also use the video in it, you know. So that was kind of the assumption, and that's why we decided to explore that. But then we wanted to give it an anamorphic look, which is not every Uber driver's, you know, first thought when using the iPhone. But so that worked. Like, but we had this brilliant cinematographer, you know, and she experimented with also with different camera, but we were trying to keep it the same optically, you know, and so we ended up doing some on the iPhone, some on her camera, which is called Sony mirrorless, but for me it was interesting what it does to acting as well, because for example we are in the car, right, and they are actually driving at this moment. I am actually not even there. You know, we are following in a different vehicle, you know, and because the guys dedicated so much to rehearsal process and devising process, you know, we were able to do it in like very few takes. It was almost like a stage performance, you know, and the ability not to not to be able to reset too much, to stop too much. Like for example, we could go from Sunset Junction, like in West Hollywood, you know, and we would drive all the way, you know, for 40 minutes, recording all this time. Only, you know, the technology like an iPhone could, you know, could allow us to do that, and could also allow you guys to just basically not think about it, right, and just do your job, you know, and so that was cool. But it was also sometimes, I feel like sometimes it was also probably a little intrusive, you know, like you were always there. But that's part of the deal because it's like a surveillance economy, right? And we have this surveillance aesthetic going on, you know, a little bit. So
I was going to ask about that. Sorry to interrupt, Andrei. I mean, I mean, you've used iPhone really, really well. I mean, I wouldn't have believed it was iPhone if you'd told me. So
well, Dylan, remember you were like, I remember you were sometimes, you were very particular about, you know, like the angle, you know, and you know, whether like where I am or whatever, you know, like it feels like
you're talking about working side of Dylan.
Aware of the camera. Did it feel did it feel different to you? Did it feel different to you working with you know, small ass kind of, you know, camera instead of what you used to?
You're asking me, Andrei, right?
Yes.
It's funny looking at the phone, your eye line is off to here. So I see you talking to me here, but you're like this. No, it's
Dylan is like that. He will be all about your eye line and the angle and his good side and whatever.
I think eventually you throw it out and you throw caution to the wind and you try to be there in the circumstances, trust the director, trust the DP, both of which are super high caliber. And then you try to be in the scene. I was just trying to be there, be present with Lola and embody the character as much as possible and let that wave take over, which is the fun of it, the fun of the whole process. And I think any actor will say this, it's not worrying about, oh my God, am I going to look good in the shot? If they go to get me at the right angle, is this going to appear as I want it to? Am I getting my close up? It's getting to live in the character as long as possible. And Andrei, the way you shot the film and the way you set up everything, because we had distance and we had room, at least for me, it allowed me to be more playful and take maybe more liberty than I would otherwise. And I think that was definitely an advantage of shooting on iPhone and shooting with distance.
That's cool to hear. What about this? I mean, the surveillance culture, is that something you're taking aim at in the film? I mean, Big Brother, everyone's watching, but this can be manipulated. Is this something that was part of the idea?
Right. Oh, yes. Well, but also, you know, the whole idea of whether it actually reveals the truth or it conceals the truth. You know, here we go. Like we're having some footage salvaged from a crash, you know, and the character, you know, says that she can't remember what happened, or does she? You know, but at the same time, you know, you would think that by just watching this video, we would know, you know, but we don't do it. It still remains a matter of interpretation. They still have to watch it several times. They have to match it with audio, and then you think, okay, now we will know what happened, you know. But I hope, but by the end, having watched the movie, you don't. You know, like you were like, really, what did you just see? You know, and this is part of the point, is that, you know, by being able to record, like we used to be, as a culture, we used to be naive about that, thinking like as long as we can capture something visually, we know exactly what happened. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes, for example, it can even spark, you know, protest movement, like the George Floyd, you know, case, you know, and similar events. But at other times, you know, for example, the Kennedy murder, you know, assassination, the famous Zapruder tape, you know, someone was able to capture what was going on at the moment, and still, however many decades later, we still don't know what happened, because having something recorded and presented to you doesn't mean you know what it is. Because there's a lot of stuff that you can't see. For example, and this is why, I think especially in Britain, I was surprised on my travels there how much CCTV you guys have.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope it's worth it, because this may or may not be the best way of getting to the truth of it all, to the reality of it all, right? So that was part, so I guess part of it was to critique and deconstruct the newly emergent surveillance culture, from the point of view of there's no technology that would substitute for the gaze, and the gaze is where you find, what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So you only see what you want to see.
I see. Everything is lie. Everything is illusion. That's universe. But as characters, could I just ask? Did you, for instance, Delon, in your role as cop, did you believe Lola? I mean, how did you kind of go explore that doubt, and also with Jay as well and Lola, what point did you realize that he was bad news?
Well, for me, it was the turns and the surprises that we discovered in preparation and in delving out and fleshing out what the story was. That, I think, kept things interesting, and as kind of forming the character in character, forming the story in character, you end up really deciding whether you want to believe, where you want to show flashes of this or not. And then not believing is a lot of fun. What is the more fun thing to play? And I think it's, again, this was unusual. I haven't participated in a production like this before, but being able to flesh out the story while you're playing the character, it allows you to, I think, again, be more playful and be more creative during the process. But not believing, definitely more fun.
Cool. And Jay and Lola, how did you explore that relationship of,
It's interesting. I feel regarding my character, because the exploration process, took a while throughout the rehearsal, we didn't know till the end, was she a good girl or a bad girl? Did she really committed a crime? Did she kill somebody and now she's just messing around with these guys? Or she's just a lost girl by herself? And here was a very interesting point, because all of us, we had different visions about that, So the way we played out it, eventually we decided to trust Andre as a creative leader on that. So that was his version of the story. But I'm sure if you ask each one of us, for example, speaking of myself, I was sure from the beginning that I'm like, I killed the guy. I'm a bad girl. I did it. I don't know why. Even if we see him alive, I kill him. But then Andre was talented enough to convince me. He's like, no, you did not. You did not. You couldn't. You couldn't kill him. Come on. And of course, it was an exploration, 100%. I'm grateful that we got to, Delon said it beautifully. We had the liberty of exploring right on set. Even if eventually we played by the written script, we still put in our characters something that we assumed about them, So I would say, even if on the paper, Delon eventually had trusted me, I still feel like he was not, he's like, he chose not to, for example. And that way makes it so interesting. And that why it leaves so many questions. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's if I may, that was part of the reason, to keep the ending kind of a little bit ambiguous and open-ended, and to frame it as a sort of like a series of flashbacks that are also kind of non-linear, kind of like the character trying to narrate her own story, and being an unreliable narrator to herself as well as to us.
Wow.
And this is why like you can be like, I don't know how many people have seen it who are watching this now, if anyone, but if you were confused at the end, that's pretty cool. So were we, like to the last day of shoot, we were like, I remember, I was like, and by the way, she finds a diamond, and they're like, really, what diamond? Because we were trying to basically shoot as much as we can, and knowing that we can make a selection in the edit, and at the end we loved it so much that everything ended up there, basically.
Jay,
So,
were you a bit clearer about your character and where he was going? Or
Originally, yes. I had an idea, a preconceived notion, much like Delon said. And then because of the improv and creative process on the front end, and Lola and Andre's suggestions, he said, oh no, maybe, you know what, maybe she's not what she seems to be. Maybe she's not an Uber driver chasing a dream, and how maybe she's actually working for the people that are after you. Maybe, and and those are always stronger choices, are more amazing choices, and make you challenge you in the moment. And I like playing with that. So that's kind of what I was playing with character a little bit. Like, am I really? Maybe I'm not in control of the situation here. Maybe she's not the mouse and I'm the cat. Actually, maybe I'm the. So there's a little bit of doubt. I think in everybody's, which raises the stakes for the film in general. I think.
Yeah,
Again, that film noir, like everyone's.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, we've got to wrap up shortly, and I've lost the light in my studio. I've got to readjust the lights.
Look at
I'm going to look like a horror. Have a horror
Thank
shadow.
you, James, for your great questions. Thank you for giving us opportunity. It was just such a nice time to go back together and talk about, all the nice moments we had creating
our pleasure,
this.
My pleasure. Well, a final kind of wrapping up. Can you each tell me what you're working on now and what the future has in store for you? So, Lola, what are you working on now?
Working on now?
Yeah.
I'll let you start, Lola. I'm kidding.
Well, it's so funny, interesting. Actually, creating this movie had prompted me to create my own project, which I've been busy with right now. And recently, we were thinking about creating something like feature film / educational thing. So we're talking about people who are learning English, and we thought how great would be bring the entertainment into the learning process. So the ideas that we have right now, they're like, not that much wired towards, how to say, the peculiar script, rather than to creating something that will bring like a nice tool for people through the movie to learn something new. It's a little bit innovative, so I don't know where we're gonna end up with that, but it's interesting to explore.
That's really cool.
I think that I think Lola has the right mindset during this time when obviously everything in Hollywood has slowed down. It's a great opportunity to be creative and kind of explore that and engage that creative muscle. So my friends and I are writing some things as well. Of course, some auditioning here and there. Had a call back last week. Fingers crossed. I get to run around like a cowboy and kill some good people. We'll see.
Great. And Andrei and Dimitri and Delon, if you're still there.
Yeah, I guess I would say, so I do think it's kind of an interesting time, and I wonder how it will change the industry longer term. I think it will. I'm not sure how, but I think it will actually be a positive change. And even what we've seen, since we've made the movie, and seeing kind of what Lola has been doing, I realize, this was kind of a huge project that we took on and created. And it actually doesn't take, now that we've kind of done it once, I feel like there's so much we can do, right? We can create shorter form content. We can create, there's just so many different types of content you can create, even if it's 15 seconds long. And so I think there are, tons of opportunities out there. And, you know, I don't know where we're going to end up, but I'm sure we'll end up doing something. So.
Amen to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. As for me, you know, I'm like it's part of me is still not done with this, you know, because of what we're doing now, for example, and you know, like just finished cutting the trailer, right, and the second version of it and whatnot, you know, and this will keep simmering, you know, and that's cool, you know, and of course I'm tempted now. I mean, I'm sure Dmitry will be delighted to hear as I watch the movie. I'm thinking like, you know, like what about like maybe we could do a different version of it, or you know, like so I like part of me is still struggling to let it go, you know, to just let it go, and it probably until it's what is it, Jay, the cowboy expression, they need to like wrestle it from my dead cold hands or
Yeah.
something.
That's it.
Is that the expression? Okay, yeah. Okay, so
Get the idea.
yeah, so
I think it's, do you want my rod, Andre?
Dead hands.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys.
So, but with that, like, but I'm also trying to, you know, like Jay was saying, you know, using this time to explore other options. I'm not one of these people who are like, yeah, great, we're having the like this whole virus epidemic so that I can write a novel. You know, that's not how it's been to me. I wish it were, but it's not. You know, like I find this time like weird and counterproductive. You know, in many ways. You know, and but I think like in the longer, like I'm just trying to observe that. You know, I saw a great Russian meme the other day. Someone, you know, took a Twin Peaks credit for David Lynch, directed by David Lynch. Remember the famous?
Yes.
Screen, you know, and just placed it on the window, and the description was, "This explains everything." You know, like this is like a reflection of how the world became surreal and unusual and whatever. You know, so I guess I'm just trying to absorb this experience now, you know, but I'm also dabbling and writing some stuff, you know, and exploring. There's something I'm excited about in terms of script, you know, because we don't know when we are going to be shooting. Like I was thinking about it the other day, like Motor, small and guerrilla style as it is, you know, run and gun, you know, we probably wouldn't be, I don't know, like I don't think we would be able to do it today, right? I mean, like or certainly during the quarantine, even though we really were like really, you know, lo-fi, you know.
Andre,
so,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we have another Q&A scheduled 2 minutes ago. So thank you guys for joining us. It was a real pleasure. The Motor is still screening. People are watching on our Rock screening room. It can also be seen till the end of the festival on our showcase. So check it out and check out what these guys are going to be up to next, because it's going to be great.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, yeah.
Bye. Okay, welcome to our next Q&A, which is going to be talking about Philia, produced by Sam Mason-Bell. It's a horror feature film. The new face of horror is here. Philia is an immersive experience that will haunt the darkest depths of your soul. This new anthology is Twisted. It's an art house horror film that is delivered in segments to tantalize the viewer. It's an experience you won't forget. So it's an anthology of 10 directors. We're going to meet 2 of them, and I'm going to open up the discussion now. So welcome. Welcome, Sam, Toby, and Stephen. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Stephen.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, welcome. So we're just waiting for Toby and Sam to appear.
Hello.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Guy.
And
Oh,
Toby's coming. So how are you guys? Can you give yourselves a little introduction, and we can take from there.
who do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Let's go view.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sam, please.
My name is Sam Bell. I'm the producer on Philia. I run Trash Arts Films.
That's right. Toby seems to be stuck.
Oh, really? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Toby, we can hear you. Can't see you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Gravity saw to my camera. Sorry, you won't be able to see me. Don't worry, I'm sunburnt. There's not much to see. I'm a filmmaker when I'm lucky enough to make films, and yeah, made this one with Sam. It was good fun.
Great. And Stephen.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Steve, for my sins, I'm involved with Sam in Philia and Trash Arts stuff.
Fantastic. Well, I've known you guys for Sam for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
I know, since the beginning of a festival.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see you.
You see you too, man.
Toby, are we going to get a video, or are you going to hide?
Like I said, I dropped my laptop a while ago.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
Floating voice.
And just yeah, precursor. We were meant to be streaming to Facebook. For some inexplicable reason, it just refused to broadcast at the moment of go. So we're on YouTube with a link to the Facebook page.
Awesome.
So there we are, and we'll post the video afterwards anyway. But yeah, anyway, let me just say, I mean, I discovered you guys. I discovered you. I made you. Just kidding. Yeah, I came across your work just as we were getting going, Brighton Rocks, and you know, I was so excited. I mean, to see what you guys are doing, because you're kind of like a really tight knit community, aren't you? And you're prolific. I mean, we'll talk later about your projects, but you know, there's so many.
We like to try and we produce quite a few films and stuff. And I remember, like, with the first year of Brighton, we went in with Lonely Hearts, and Toby had Bleachy Doomsday, if I'm right. Yeah, and yeah, it was a really cool, fun year that was, and we got to bring some of the cast came up to the screening at the university. So that was really nice. It was nice to get them to be able to see what film was like at a festival.
Yeah, and Toby, yeah, who directed Bleachy Doomsday. How is that a bygone project, or?
Oh yeah, no, that's it, for sure. Still very proud of it. Yeah, it was my first proper feature, proper film, really, and yeah, it's always got a special place in my heart. And that was my first screening, so yeah, thank you for that. Met loads of great filmmakers that day, and yeah, really good.
Night. Very good night.
Yeah, that was a great event. And Stephen, how long have you been involved with these crazy kids?
A few years now. I got involved, and they killed my wife at Christmas, and
Oh yeah.
I've stayed with them ever since. They came round to sing carols, strangled her in the toilet, and then left. So that's as good as it gets. Yeah.
The fun of horror apologies.
So tell me about. We're going to talk about Philia. It's going to be screening at 10 o'clock. I'm going to press the magic button, and we'll enter the Twilight Zone on our virtual screening space. Because it's pretty out there, and it's really out there, in fact. But this is what I'm enamored with all your stuff. I mean, I was so glad to see people pushing boundaries, challenging artistically, like the world they would see around them, and responding to it with a bit of horror, a bit of anger, a bit of madness, you know, because frankly, isn't the world just like that? So, yeah, Sam?
With Vestra Pictures Films, we did an anthology with Gonziano Crisotto called A Taste of Phobia. And with phobia, like, you start to explore the other side of philias. It was actually Jackson Batchelor, one of the guys in Trash Arts, who was like, wouldn't it be cool to do an anthology of philias? And we just kind of sat and ran through so many different kind of philias. That was like, this would be quite an interesting thing to explore. Because philias are more fantasy and more kind of emotionally driven, it was like, well, let's go for a more like art house approach for this anthology. Let's not look for necessary narratives, but a real reflection of what it feels like within that kind of philia. And for the bit that I did, the connecting story, most of our films are improvised. So with me doing the connecting bit, I wanted to experiment with improvising by not focusing on dialogue and playing around with emotions. It's kind of like, it's got a bit crazy, and it was cool that we got a load of short films that kind of still went in that same mindset, going, we don't need to fill this with a dialogue, we just need to like creep you out of it and take you somewhere different.
So we'll talk about the individual segments, but how did you coordinate them? I mean, how did you get everyone on side?
Well, fortunately, because we work with a lot of different horror anthologies, and Vestra Pictures is always working on horror anthologies, and the network just kind of expands a little bit. And it was kind of a mix of people that we've worked with before. So I've worked with Shane Ryan on a few anthologies. He had something that kind of fit it quite nicely. I've got the list to the corner of the screen. That's why I'm looking to fit everyone's names right.
Okay.
Stephen himself actually shot a short film within Philia.
Okay.
As well as acting in it. And Stephen obviously have done quite a few things in the past. Toby, me and him would always want to do something together. Moore did home videos. Tony Newton, the other producer, he did his own film within it. Mike Reed's the same kind of case. Tyler Sage, who did the Mythophilia, he's a friend of Michael J. Epstein, and Michael J. Epstein's done a few anthologies. Just kind of like connecting all those dots of the people that we worked with and the ones that were kind of happy to go something a bit crazier. Same with Chris Malsky, he did Taste of Phobia, because we wanted to try and get a few of those directors on that to come on board as well.
So well done for putting it together in that way. So Stephen and Toby, do you want to talk about your segments?
Sure.
Yep, Stephen first.
Stephen, well, my section was Pictophilia, which is a love of images. You've obviously seen the film, but it shows how easy it is nowadays in the cyber world to, you know, get entrapped in supplying images and the complications and consequences of that. What happens?
Yeah.
Nasty piece of work. Hopefully unsettles the viewer.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to bring them in.
Yeah.
To watch what was going on and to make them a voyeur.
Yeah.
And not have particular empathy for the main character that they see, but to make them feel uncomfortable because they're watching what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I did some work a while ago with the council on how they counsel and how they bring round abused children. And they made the point in the last couple of years how much it's exploded in the cyber world, and you can't actually see what's going on. It's not a physical presence, and I wanted to get that across to the viewer.
Yeah, you certainly do. And Toby, can you tell us about your segment?
I did lactophilia, which is the obsession of milk. It was something I've definitely obsessed over in the past. It's such an odd thing to me these days. As a dairy peddler for many years in coffee or whatever, I worked in dairy farms. I worked in cinemas, shoving milkshakes down kids' throats. Well, not literally, but so much dairy I've been putting out there. I was just thinking about it so much and how odd it is, how we consume it, and how mad it is, and how perverse it is. And I just wanted to hold a mirror up to it. And I'm not like coming at it from a vegan perspective at all, because I'm not. I just don't eat dairy. And to be honest, if you get out of fondue, I'll probably be the first to tuck into that. I'm not very good at not eating dairy, but the best things in life, chocolate, pizza, you know, ice cream, it's all delicious. And dairy and the amount of suffering that goes into it is such an odd thing. But hopefully I'll let the film do the talking. Mainly,
In your segment, it's a very particular fetish that's not just about milk, right?
No, it's the sexualization of female milk and breastfeeding.
Yeah. It's probably about the most out there, or one of the most out there scenes in the anthology that involves, frankly, a baby being killed. So how did you feel about directing that and then seeing it back?
That was heavy. It was a very sensitive scene for sure. Felt like we needed to do it because that's kind of the point we're making about the consumption of dairy. You got to get rid of some calves, drink that milk. You know, it's like we're not letting the baby drink it, we're drinking it, kind of thing. So that needed to be in there. We didn't want to film. We filmed it a number of ways. We did it very graphically, and the rest of it. It's not, you know, tasteful by any means, and it was hard to do it. There's a lot of scenes and it was hard. It was my first time filming nudity and the rest of it. But Martin Payne, wonderful, just, you know, had full confidence in his abilities.
Yeah,
he did it sensitively and with exactly what we needed. Just so cold and brilliant, actually. Yeah, definitely one of the most vulgar scenes I've ever shot, for sure.
Yeah, Martin, who wanted to be with us tonight, but I'm afraid you can't. So yeah, I mean, obviously some people would find that very hard to watch. And how do we as filmmakers kind of deal with that need that we have to make, you know, to explore uncomfortable stuff and knowing that some people will be, you know, horrified. Basically.
I think it's almost ruder to tiptoe around it. Like, make the point, don't, you know, half do it. You know, do it sensitive. Don't be gratuitous. Just do what you need to do. It's like, don't patronize the audience in that respect. You know, I was filming for a trash art audience, so I thought, you know, they've seen stuff. It's going to be, you know, shoot for your audience kind of thing. It's, yeah.
Yeah, and Sam, anything to add on?
I think, like, because we were trying to make a horror anthology, the whole point is to horrify. We weren't trying to get you an understanding of each of these failures. It was more to take it to the extreme. When I advertised for short films, I said I wanted kinky, twisted desires. They were always angling more into a, you know, a more fantastical, dark place. So you're sure it's got some ideas within reality, but really, we're not. I don't know. It wasn't, the intention wasn't to try and like make people, obviously, well, it is to make them feel uncomfortable, but not to like show any false pretense to that. It's called philia. You know, it's by, as Toby said, certain filmmakers behind it, so you sort of know what you're walking into. And personally, I feel like it'd be ridiculous to say to anyone, you know, oh, make sure you limit what you want to do because an audience might not like it. It's a twisted anthology for more of an audience that are open to something that, to me, it's not even that extreme, but I know that people have watched it and thought it's quite extreme, even on just the absurdity level of what everything's trying to do. But that's up to the audience to decide, you know. That's why you're screening it after 10 p.m, you know, just in case.
Yeah, we don't do censorship for Brighton Rocks, but we do like sensible, I guess, you know. Just, yeah, so for the festival too, I want people to, you know, certainly want to show stuff that's really out there, but then I have to consider audience at some point too. So can you tell me about the kind of the purgatory scenes, like in between the episodes, essentially? Yeah, absurdity is a good word.
That's it. We wanted to go with that like kind of absurdism and just let the emotions run. I didn't want the emotions to necessarily respond to each philia.
Uh-huh.
It's more about pushing it and going further and further until their own emotional response kills them. And just to give it that like exhibition, but yeah, just to be a bit strange and just to push it. And it was a really interesting like experience. We shot it at the edge of the Wedge Dreams. And there's a lot of actors I've not worked with and a few that weren't actors, but were just up for doing it for a laugh. And I got Stephen in to play like the main host because I knew that he did what it needed for that creepy but respectable old man vibe.
He did a great job.
And yeah, like when we just got together, it was just like I just run with the emotion until I say to stop, just run with the emotion. And I thought, well, I can just take it in afterwards in post production and just see what, you know, experiment with it. The whole film's experimental, so why force feed this sort of like narrative connecting thing that what like makes sense?
Yeah.
It was just more interesting to just constantly, I suppose, like not attack, but just constantly have different emotional responses for the audience to be like, they've just gone out of the film and now you've got to watch this wildness. And I suppose in a weird way, like with it being purely performance, you can only rely on like heightened emotions or like on the highs and lows kind of thing. So yeah, it was just about experimenting and having and just seeing if it could work in that, so I could then try and do it in the future films that I've been doing this year. How it could work, and that was a good opportunity to experiment with it.
Sure. Yeah, we want to hear about what you're working on now in a moment, but perhaps the last question about the anthology. So yeah, I mean, having put them together and gotten feedback, which of the segments work best, which don't work so well? Can we do, you know?
It's an interesting one because when I was sending it to Darkside, who released Lonely Hearts, they really liked what they were seeing, but they wanted one of the films to be moved later into narrative, which I think you may have even seen that in the second version that was sent to you. One of the films being moved.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't a question of like the quality of the film. It was more of a question of, because it's an assault on the senses in some respects of lots of strangeness, perhaps that bit needs to come in later. So then by that point you're establishing the film, this is all just a lot of art house kind of creations, and it allowed that film to just move the narrative a little bit faster. Whereas where I put it earlier in, it kind of slowed it down a bit. And like it was good to take that feedback in and go, okay, yeah, let's move this around. Let's just see what we get. Because yeah, I'm really happy that all the filmmakers that create something, none of them are the same. None of them particularly went for the archetypal kind of figures that you think people would go for. And they all wanted to tell like some strange little freaky story within that. And that's exactly what I was looking for, really.
Visually, job done. And Stephen and Toby, any thoughts on how the film fits together? The strongest episodes, the ones that don't quite work so well?
I think it's like with all anthology films, if there's one that's not to your particular taste, you sit through it and then wait for the next one. You go back to the days of Amicus films when you watch those. You know,
yeah.
some were stronger, some were not. And on different viewings, you pick up different aspects that you hadn't seen before. So it's and being involved in it, it's difficult to be objective and subjective about the film, but it works. It shows the different failures and the consequences and the grip that it gets on people. The end.
Yeah, Toby, favorite failures?
I'm just looking forward to seeing it. I haven't actually seen it yet.
I thought you were quiet there.
Yeah, like you say, anthologies are great. Yeah, some of them, you like some more than others. Just a nice loads of shorts, really. You're going to sit down and watch a film, it's not going to be 10 minutes long.
Yeah. It's becoming quite a rare thing to see anthologies, isn't it?
I think because for a while there was a perceived easy market in doing anthologies, and people just kept making them, and it is a good opportunity to get people having their work more out there, like independent filmmakers and stuff. But you still want something that strongly ties it together, and I think that's what you don't see as much, at least on independent anthology level, because like all more mainstream anthologies or higher budget ones is all about how tight the story is kind of structured together.
Yeah. All right. So let's segue to what you've been up to since and what you're doing now. So Sam, do you want to fill us in?
Well, last week we produced Senseless, which was a horror film that we kind of wanted to try and do a horror film that was within the quarantine times we find ourselves now, but not focusing on being in quarantine. And because I live with our lead actor, Ryan Carter, and cinematographer who's part of Trash Arts, Jackson lives with us, we were like, okay, well, we can do something like this. So we shot a horror fantasy film, which was raised through Indiegogo. Sorry, I think it passed, but sorry. Yeah, we raised about 1,500 for Indiegogo for Senseless, and we shot it last week, and it was a grueling, difficult shoot. It was all shot at nighttime in the woods, and although it wasn't really a weather thing, it was more just nighttime filming. There's a different vibe when all you can see around you is darkness. Even when you lit your little scene, behind you is just darkness. It's a weird vibe, and the film's very fantastical and very strange and very different. So we're just like, how much can we do to experiment without, thinking, oh, we're boxed in by the fact that there's limitations to filmmaking if we're just experimenting and doing weird things. And again, minimalizing dialogue. The main character has one line of dialogue. It's senseless. So yeah, it's kind of just seeing if we can tell those stories that aren't stuck in lockdown quarantine mode, really.
I can't wait to see that. It's kind of the theme almost of our selections this year. Almost half of the features are without dialogue or very minimal. So it seems to be where we're heading. I had enough of words. But Toby, can you tell us what you're working on?
Obviously, circumstances are annoying for filmmaking, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like keeping things in the pipeline, a bit of writing here and there. Doing a lot of 3D printing, definitely not really filmmaking, but I work in photogrammetry, so I've been 3D printing iterations of people. I've been putting people in and 3D sculpting, making their heads bigger. It's been odd. That's where my creativity's taken me. Yeah, it's good.
Odd is good. And Stephen?
Well, I mean, during the lockdown, it's given me the chance. I've gone back and re-edited some films I did a couple of years ago, which were shelved for one reason or another. And I've written a couple of others that I intend to do when you can actually get out and do something. And I want to film in the outside, because I think next year I've had enough of being shut in this year. I don't want to sit next year and watch films about the lockdown. So I want to get out and film something.
Sounds great. I don't think it's good for any of us to be locked up. So great. Well, we've got to wrap up there because we've got 2 more Q&As. Also part of our Twilight Zone screenings. I Scream on the Beach and Exit. So thank you very much for talking and sharing. It's really, really cool to catch up with you.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, man.
Yeah. So yeah, take care, you guys. Send us. We can't wait to see more of your stuff. Viewers, 10 o'clock, you're going to enter the Twilight Zone, and Felia will be there at a click of a button. So if you dare.
Yeah. Good luck with the rest of the fest.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
All
right.
Right.
Bye.
Goodbye, Sam. Goodbye, Toby. Okay, just bear with me one moment. We're going to segue to our second Q&A, but excuse me a moment. So our next Q&A is with the makers of Ice Cream on the Beach, directed by Alex Churchyard and Michael Holiday. We also have key cast member Hannah Peterson, who plays Emily in this film. Halloween 1986, in the small East English seaside town of Mellow Coast, Emily is trying to discover the truth behind her father's disappearance. 10 years earlier, but as she searches for answers and she gets closer to the truth, her friends start getting picked off one by one by an unknown killer. Horror meets comedy in a style that emulates 1980s VHS style. So I'm going to welcome to the conversation Michael, Hannah, and Danny and Reese. Hello, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. So thanks for joining us.
That's all right.
Hey, this is just waiting for the visuals, Michael and Reese.
Oh,
There we are. Hey.
Hello.
Hey,
Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm doing it all wrong.
You were there for a moment, Danny.
Dan is somewhere very bright. That's great. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're gonna we're live streaming to YouTube because Facebook refused to do its stuff, which but we're also recording and we'll post that on our Facebook site. But our viewers will be able to see it. We put a link on the site. So there we are. So yeah, over to you guys. A little introduction each one, please. Starting with Michael.
Yeah, I'm Mike. I'm one of the co-directors and writers.
Okay, thanks. Just tell me each as well briefly how you. Well, we'll come to that. This brief introductions. Sorry. Great. Reese.
Oh, hello, my name is Reese. I play Dave in Ice Cream on the Beach.
Hannah.
Do you want to find out some more about that? Found it on Magic, living the dream.
I'm Hannah, and I play Emily in Ice Cream on the Beach.
And that was everyone, right? Okay. Yeah, tell me about how this project came about. I mean, I know you guys are based in Southend, right? Yeah, I want to hear basically how you came up with this idea, how it happened.
You can start, Alex.
I'll start. Yeah. It has quite a long history, really. Sort of an element of this film, which I won't sort of spoil, started when I was a kid, and I used to make films with my brothers. And then when I met Michael at college, I used to rope him into making these films. And then after a while, I wrote like a script based on that idea. Mike and I tried to turn it into a short, and then we were like, nah, let's just make it a feature. And that became Ice Cream on the Beach. The reason I'm being vague is because the idea is the twist of the film. So I'm trying to be vague about that. But then it turned into this film, and Michael can tell you a bit more about what it became, I guess.
Yeah, so I think like the initial script was pretty much unrecognizable to what the film actually ended up being. We sort of like took what is the twist at the end of the film and sort of like reverse engineered it into this sort of like 80s style slasher movie. The one thing you mentioned that we're sort of based in Southend, the one thing we'd never really done is use that as a location in any of our shorts or anything like that. We've got this sort of like amazing seaside and small little like villages and stuff like that, but we never really utilized that for some reason. And as we were writing the script, we were just like, why haven't we done that? And we sort of shifted it over to that. I think initially it was all set in like a college or a high school, and we sort of, twisted that around a little bit.
We only ever really used like the worst parts of Southend, like before, like the underpasses and
the sort of places you had to film really quickly and run out of there before something bad happened.
Yeah, the ghetto.
Yeah.
Is it in Brighton? It's a nightmare. You have like to have a £500 permit a day. What's Southend?
Oh, he said the P word. He said the P word.
We don't.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah,
As I thought. Gorillas. Cool. Well, you have cameos by Lloyd Kaufman and
Lloyd.
yeah, and Danny
Right.
Thompson. You're also well established. So how did you convince these especially Lloyd as a titan of the horror genre movie to be in your film?
Well,
Yeah.
Danny came in a lot earlier than anything else, to be honest. She's one of the first cast members I think we probably had in the film.
Wow.
So
It's only meant to be a cameo, right?
Yeah, it was initially. So we started shooting this back in 2016, and Danny came in and sort of shot what was effectively supposed to be a small cameo role. And then the film kind of fell apart, and we didn't actually get to complete it around then. So when we sort of came back to it, we sort of all got talking, and Danny was interested in coming back in some way. So we ended up rewriting the script a little bit and gave her a much larger role. And Lloyd was a strange one.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. So there's a guy, Philip Rogers, who does PR, and he was on set actually when we really first started shooting, and he mentioned to us that Lloyd was like coming to the UK, and we should get him in, and we were kind of like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. And we didn't really. I think we were just like focused on what we were doing really. And then we sort of had a moment, and we were like, well, if it's a possibility, let's try. So I text Philip and was like, oh, do you think it could happen? And he was like, well, Lloyd's standing right next to me, I'll ask him. And then sort of a few minutes go by, and I'm texting Lloyd Kaufman, like the guy that runs Troma Entertainment, and I was just like, this is so weird. And then the next day we had to shoot with him because he wasn't in the UK very long. So Mike had to get the afternoon off work. My work's a bit more flexible, but I was like, I came up to London, and we didn't have a location to shoot with him. We didn't have the character wasn't in the script. So the night before, like, we wrote some scenes. Later, we had to rewrite other things, which was annoying for everybody else, to sort of fit him in. And when I got to London, met up with Mike, we were sort of running around looking for a location to shoot this stuff in. We were like just going into places and going, is there any way we can shoot in here, please?
Yeah, it was genuinely one of the most stressful parts, I think, of the film, but also one of the most fun, because it was just like, okay, we have a camera, we have two of us, and we're going to film with Lloyd this afternoon. We have nowhere to shoot it. We wrote his scenes, like Alex said, a few hours beforehand, and we were just like, we had about an hour, I think, from the moment we got into central London until we were due to shoot with him with no location. Wow. So we were just going everywhere we could to try and sort it out, and luckily we can't actually name the place that took us in because the staff sort of did it without permission. But they were very, and they were very kind and let us in, and yeah, we managed to get it all done. But yeah, he was lovely to work with.
Wow, it's a super story. But I was going to ask, she's back. Danny and also Reese, what drew you to the script, and why did you get involved with the project?
Reese, do you want to go first?
Oh, she threw me in the ringer. Okay. I live in Southend. I was cast because I live in Southend. Danny? Because
I was there.
And basically, I saw the script on, and it was my initial reaction to it was a film being filmed in Southend, and we don't get a lot of those. And it was a breath of fresh air to be able to leave my front door and be on set without having to get the train with all the dirty commuters. So that was one of the things that drew me to it, I guess. But after speaking to the guys, we had a good old chat. We went to the Alex, and if anyone goes to the Southend, they know what the Alex is, and we talked through the film, and I got to hear the backstory and different bits, and it just really drew to me all the not just the character himself, but the whole storyline and the whole concept. I'm going to make sure I don't make any spoilers here. I won't lie. They actually said to me, went to the Alex, I didn't tell them this, but they went, so what do you think about the ending, like the twist? And I was like, my thing is, I don't read scripts after I die. It's just a thing I don't do.
That's a spoiler.
Oh, that's what? Jeez.
Hold on, I can edit this
Well, that's
by
one.
delay.
Anyway. So anyway, after some people die, and then so I basically ran to the toilet, read the end of the script, and came back out again. Oh, that's genius! I got the role after that, so I basically winged it. So it was so good. Danny, do you want to follow that one?
Well, I did, as the guy said, I did a tiny little role as a cameo really early on. And then I had to think it was Alex emailed me and said, how do you feel about coming back? And I was like, well, how? Because it was, you know, when you watch it, the character's kind of, you know, completely different. And they basically made it work so my character was the other character as well, in a way. This is really cryptic, isn't it?
I think
Okay, that's not too spoilery. You can.
You kind of have to, it's not really a spoiler. It's like my
I've
character is like an actress, so they had the film bit in it. So it was kind of cool to be able to do like the two things in the film. But it was really good to come back. Like I loved working with the guys. So, and Reese taught me how to rap, so it was really worth being there.
Yes, who's doing impressions? You speaking like a G? Yeah, it's a good time. She taught me how to walk in stilettos. We're not going to talk about that on camera. But
So you have to live fun. It's a show. It's a fun movie. But where's the genre? It's kind of like, you know, rom-com, someone called rom-zom-com. That's it. Romance zombie comedy. I mean, yeah. Were you shooting more for the comedy? I mean, the horror's there. Packing a punch.
I think it was. The thing is, it's to a certain degree, it's supposed to be a spoof of like a sort of proper bargain bin 80s horror movies, the sort of ones that sort of get left at the back of the video shop that you never actually end up watching. But those are the films that me and Alex particularly enjoy. So it was kind of supposed to be spoofy without sort of diminishing that genre of film, because we genuinely enjoy it ourselves and we're fans of it.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a loving piss take, I think.
Okay.
More Scream than Scary Movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what about the 80s? I mean, I guess a lot of us are kind of children of the 80s. Yeah, are we starting to get nostalgic already? Is this where we're heading? Are we going to see more films, nostalgia?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think a lot of sort of today's filmmakers, that's probably their era of film. So you are seeing lots of things that are inspired by the 80s, set in the 80s, have like a VHS kind of nostalgic feel to them. So I think that's like a current wave, and we were sort of lucky enough that I guess it's just like in the zeitgeist, isn't it? So you sort of think, oh yeah, let's do that. Not necessarily because other people have done it, but you just all have the thought at the same time because you are in love with that era, like everybody else that's coming up, kind of thing. So yeah, I think you'll see more over the next few years.
Hopefully.
And how do you do the VHS look? You made an awesome promo for the screening at Brighton Rocks. So what can you let us in on your secret? Are you using VHSs? Or
okay.
So initially we were. So we did, like Alex can probably explain this a little bit better because you actually went through the whole process. But initially we were running the film when we did all the test shoots and like the original stuff we did back in 2016. We were running it for a VHS player. As we got into the feature film, like that reared quite a few technical issues in terms of like transforming the sort of 16:9 image to 4:3 and then back out again was causing us issues. So what we ended up doing was, it's now done digitally, but we're using sort of actual overlays from VHS tapes. Yeah, so like, I think it was really important for us to make it look as much as possible like an actual film that, like, as I said before, a lost VHS tape we didn't want it to have that sort of like digital gloss that sometimes films do when they're trying to look older than they are.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, this is extremely well done. So how's the film been received by other festivals and viewers?
Tremendously. Everyone loves it. That is it.
I'm the only one who hasn't seen it yet because I
Yeah.
keep missing it.
Well, you should have got there in time, I told you.
Yes,
my mum liked it.
Did she?
Yeah, my mum loved it. She said it's the first thing you've actually been good in. So that was always a good thing. I've only been on 3 TV series and 2 feature films, but here we go. She went, remember the last time I came to watch you in that cinema thing? Yeah, that was terrible. This, you got it with this. I actually liked it. I actually watched it. She's like, I could actually watch this to the end. I was like, oh, thanks, Mum. I don't know where. So she's been disappointed with me for the rest of my life until now. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. So at least that film's made Reese's mum proud of him.
If Reese never does anything ever again.
Yeah.
You know,
It was all worth it.
We're doing a sequel.
Yeah, no, it seems to have done fairly well. It's picked up a few awards already. Like the plans for this year have obviously been thrown through the ringer a little bit. Like quite a lot of festivals have been called off or postponed until next year. So quite a few of the plans we had have kind of fallen through in that regard. But you know, obviously a lot of things are heading online like this, so hopefully it's going to sort of pick up a little bit again. But during the initial sort of screenings, it seemed to be doing quite well. Yeah.
And outside of Southend, obviously, like again, I bet you've got a big local following, and it's really cool to see like you're in town. Internationally, does Lloyd Kaufman perhaps get people's attention, and in America, for instance?
We've not screened in America yet. We've got our North American premiere is next month. We're playing Nasty Frames in Canada. But yeah, so far, like people are sort of, that is one thing that everyone seems to mention, like all the reviews kind of mention, like Lloyd's in this film. It seems really strange because it does kind of cut. But yeah, no, we haven't had the American screening yet, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see how it cuts through, I think, because it's quite quintessentially British.
Yeah.
Well, that might be a real love factor for them.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Cool, guys. So yeah, perhaps segue to what you've been doing since and what your current projects are. If that's okay. Starting with you, Michael, or Alex.
We're doing the same thing, so you might as well go.
Me. Well, we just shot a really short film called The Allotment, which is a horror film set on an allotment. Got Tony Marden in it, who is great, and Hannah is in it very briefly. And yeah, we're kind of, I don't know, Mike, do you want to say like what else we're working on?
Yeah, again, like a lot similar with the festival situation. Again, like a lot of things have been sort of set back because of COVID and that. The Allotment was more than anything an excuse to actually get out there and just sort of blow the cobwebs away a little bit. Like we shot it in an afternoon. It was really sort of free and experience. We actually shot it on the mobile phone, which is the first time we've ever done anything like that. And it was just sort of like, yeah, it was very creatively freeing, I think, in that sense. But because of that, I think we've been doing quite a bit of writing as opposed to actually sort of getting any further along than anything like that. So we've got a couple of anthologies in the works that are hopefully going to come to fruition soon. And I've got like a feature script that I'm working on as well. So yeah, trying to keep busy.
Cool. Reese and Danny?
Say as well, Hannah's been writing for us.
Hannah,
Written like a short Christmas horror film, which hopefully we're going to film soon. Which I think we good.
Cool. Great.
Well, I'm actually away at the moment. I've literally just arrived. I'm filming tomorrow, so this is my like location bedroom. So this isn't my room. So it doesn't look like my bedroom. So I'm doing a film called They Came from the Sky. I Saw Them, which is a kind of comedy, but there's some gross horror stuff in it, so it's all good. So this is my first film first proper thing since lockdown.
That's cool.
And I brought the dog along for like support. She's my support animal.
Hope is on payroll.
Yeah, it's in the rider. I need to bring the puppy as a puppy trick.
Yeah, yeah. Like if there's no budget for dog sitters, she comes, and everyone loves it. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was actually meant to be shooting a new Netflix series, which has been postponed till next year. I'm actually working on. I'm doing something with the BBC at the moment as we speak, and I've got another feature film that we're working on through to next year as well, and over. So yeah, busy.
Cool.
Busy, and I run an agency called Three's a Crowd as well. So that's still burning and coming back into the game. So. But I had a few jobs postponed till next year, then more came in. So I don't really know what I'm doing with myself at the moment. And I've got a puppy on the way, so that's the most important thing. Yeah, living the dream. Yeah, it was either that or a child, and I chose the puppy, so don't worry. One child. Needed, you know what I mean? One was enough. We were having a puppy.
What kind of puppy? What kind of puppy?
Oh, he's coming from Romania, and he's a half Australian Alsatian, half Rottweiler, we think. So it's just going to be a big fluffer puffer chow chow, and that's what the manners is. Me and my
Oh my
buddy.
gosh, that's amazing.
And
An
I'm probably going to be
Osweiler.
working away. I'm going to be working away, so he's going to be the man in the house. So that's really bad. You can't say that anymore.
What
he's
would
gonna
you
be
call
another
it?
member
An
of the
Osweiler?
household. Pardon?
What would you call like an Australian Shepherd cross Rottweiler? Is that an Osweiler or a Osweiler?
Or
Yeah.
Osweiler. I'm calling him
Osweiler.
Osweiler. Yeah, he's called Marley as well because he's got a little, but he's got a little white cross across his chest with the sparkly bits on the outside. So I think he's been a gift. That's what I'm telling. I'm not even religious, but I am now. God bless Marley.
Alex
I
and
like
Michael.
that you saved him from life on the streets. That's really nice of you, Reece. Well done.
That's it. Doing my bit. So.
How did you direct such out of control and bubbly people?
I don't think we just left them to it, I think.
Yeah, like you just let them tire themselves out a bit, and then like they're fine after that.
You cast well.
Yeah, that's wet. Don't feed us after midnight.
Yeah.
And the collaboration thing, are you always on the same page, or are there some creative tensions?
I think for the most part, we've had like the odd thing here and there, but like we've been working together since we were like 15 years old, 16 years old. So it's we're kind of used to it now.
During the editing of the film, Michael cut my hand open.
Yeah.
Spliced it.
He likes to bring this up.
Yeah, kind of wrapping up. But I mean, there's just a few more minutes. Any other really good production stories we can share with?
Well, we can't say that over the internet. Oh,
God. Oh no, you have to.
Oh, we just had laughs. God.
Yeah, that's the problem. We get asked this story. It's like, oh yeah, no budget filmmaking. You must have some like real horror stories from the shoot. And every time we're like, that was just kind of a laugh, to be honest.
Well, Reece nearly died when he fell off the stairs.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Reece did nearly die at one point.
I thought he was doing some cool stunt, but actually he just didn't see that there was no banister. And
No, thanks for saving me though.
Health and safety.
well, I would have saved you, but I thought you did it on purpose.
But he's a professional, so he got back up and just went for another take. It was fine.
Well, we're going to segue to our next film, Exit. Have you guys seen? Do you know Michael Fausti?
Oh, you got the poster in the background there.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I see it. That's a
We're
great.
very on brand. We've got Exit here, Ice Cream on the Beach, and then we've
That
got
is
a
very on
different
brand.
Sam Mason Bell film there.
That is extremely
Yeah, no.
well choreographed.
Michael
Is it
Fausti
quite a-
actually has a cameo in Ice Cream. Well, a kind of cameo in Ice Cream. He does. Anytime we sort of cut to the TV, there's a sort of horror host talking on the TV, and that's his voice.
Is it quite a small knit
And he
community?
adapts the voice.
I know Martin is in a lot of your films as well. Oh, he's in a lot of the Trash Arts films. He's in, you guys know each other.
Yeah, I think
He doesn't
just
get naked, though. Unlike most films, he doesn't get naked in our film. So
yeah, it's a rarity.
Which is a shame.
Doing something wrong.
He doesn't get naked in mine either.
What? You guys need to be ladies.
No.
Yeah, like I think we all sort of met with, I think with the exception of Reece, we probably met Danny, or at least saw Danny in films at Horror on Sea Film Festival, which is local to Southend.
I see.
We know Martin because we saw him on a Sam's films, and we liked him in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Michael Valsty, we've seen some of his shorts again at Horror on Sea and sort of met him there. So it's kind of like through networking at the film festival more than anything.
Cool. Well, that's really good to hear, and hopefully next year we'll be back in a real place. You guys can come to Brighton.
Yeah, love
share
that.
your new stuff, and yeah, that would be fantastic. So thanks guys for joining us, and it's a final. So in half an hour, Ice Cream on the Beach will be available in our Rock screening room, Twilight series, and yeah, I think you're going to get quite a bit of traffic. So thanks for sharing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Good, bud.
Good to hear.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good to meet you. And we post this interview on Facebook. I'll share the video with you. So yeah, you know, for promotional reasons.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, guys, take care.
Cool.
Thanks
a lot.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
I had to leave.
Bye, guys.
Okay, we're back for our final Q&A of tonight, which will be Exit, directed by Michael Falsey, who I'm going to admit now from our waiting room. Hello, Michael. Can you hear me? Hello, Michael. Welcome. How are you? I can't hear. Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you try again? No, it's. No. Check. afraid it's just mute. Yeah. I'm just gonna stop the video. Well, Mike was just logging out and logging in again. Let me tell you about Exit. Events take a sinister turn one night in London when two very different couples arrive at a double-booked apartment. Actions have consequences, and not all debts are paid for with money. Leaving, it's harder than you think. With Billy James Machin, Charlotte Goud, Robert Alexandra, and Christoph Deliscus. So this is a film that pushes boundaries. It makes us uncomfortable, takes risks, explores different kind of consciousnesses, essentially through a drugs intrigue, and also sexual experiences. It's certainly a noir with no happy ending. So the man behind this is Michael Fausti, who we're going to admit once again. Hi, Michael.
Hello. Can you see me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can't see you, but
you can't see me.
That's...
okay, just a second.
Yeah, there we are. Bingo. Fantastic. Welcome. How are you doing?
Very well, sir. How are you?
Excellent. It's been a really good evening. Lots of really good discussions. We also had
I'm about to ruin that for you, James.
Fantastic. That's all I want. We've had a tech issue. Facebook refused to stream from Zoom, so we relayed to YouTube and put a link on our site. So that's how it's worked. But anyway, please introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
I'm Michael Fausti, director of the feature film Exit, which you'll be able to see tonight
at 10 o'clock.
At 10 o'clock.
That's right.
It's been recently described as sexy and seedy. So there you go. What more could you possibly want on a Friday evening than that?
That's it. So it's a genre film. It has layers. It's deeper than that. And I'm not just going to leave it at seedy. I want to hear about the ideas behind. Or certainly tell me why you're drawn to this kind of genre of filmmaking.
I mean, I was just listening to you talking to the Ice Cream on the Beach Boys, and I guess, you know, we all kind of grew up watching a lot of this genre cinema, particularly, you know, VHS days and things like that. One of the big influences on Exit is actually a very British filmmaker called Michael Powell, who did The Red Shoes and Black Narcissus and A Matter of Life and Death. And really, whilst I suppose, you know, I am a horror fan, it's more these slightly sort of strange films, I guess, that draw me more than just sort of straightforward, you know, sort of genre fare.
Why? What is it in your soul that's?
So I'm just trying to get comfortable here. I'm on the phone. Why indeed? What? Why particular sort of like strange genres? Or
yeah, why? Yeah, why the creatures of the night kind of? Then you, what I mean, what I really like about your film, and it's many things, but it, you know, pushes boundaries. It goes further than most indie films do, particularly in kind of like sex, drugs kind of narrative. And yeah, I mean, most filmmakers shy away from it, frankly. You don't.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I think that as an independent filmmaker, you really should be pushing boundaries, because ultimately, you know, if you want kind of sort of safe, standard, you know, non-challenging narratives, then, you know, Hollywood and mainstream cinema has plenty to offer you. And I think really these are the kind of films that, as I say, sort of, you know, interest and excite me. I mean, another favorite film of mine is actually, I suppose, technically a genre film, a very old American film called Carnival of Souls, which is a very strange film, which, you know, kind of deals with sort of similar territory to Exit. I'm trying to be mindful of spoilers, but this kind of idea that, you know, people can be between kind of two worlds and past lives and things like that. But also, I dislike films that kind of talk down to their audience, and by that I mean sort of signpost things too much, you know, kind of over-explain things. So every 15 minutes I have to keep reminding you of the plot because, you know, you've got a very short attention span. Or I have to keep putting up titles that tell you what day it is, even though that's got absolutely nothing to do with the plot of the film.
Yeah.
And I think with Exit, we always kind of sort of thought that, you know, we don't sort of deliberately set out to be obtuse or anything like that. But I think that really, you know, as an indie filmmaker, you should be sort of challenging and pushing the boundaries, because that's really what indie film's all about.
No, you do that, and we love it. So, but why push boundaries? I come back to this. I mean, is it a reaction against like the boring kind of status quo? I mean, you made this film during Brexit, right? In that kind of era, is there any kind of like connection between the themes you're exploring and stuff going on around you?
Well, I mean, firstly, I think that we've always been kind of quite strong with Exit, that we didn't want to, as I say, give too much away and explain too much, because there are a lot of different interpretations that people are coming up with for Exit. But in terms of kind of why we're making these sort of films, I mean, really, yeah, I mean, it is a reaction against, you know, I mean, mainstream cinema is in a bit of a, to say it's formulaic at the moment is something of a kind of like understatement, you know.
Sure.
Really, certain studios and movie franchises are kind of like booked in for about the next 10 years, and they've decided which sequel follows which sequel. And you're just getting these very reductive kind of narratives in which you've got cardboard two-dimensional heroes who were the same in the previous movie as they were in this one. There's no kind of sort of like forward progression or character development. But hey, we spent 200 million on it, and we're probably going to make about, you know, 800 million and then do the same next year. Yeah. And I think that really audiences do deserve something. They do, you know, they deserve something a bit more for their kind of sort of, you know, 10 quid or what have you that they're spending at the cinema. And I really think that, you know, Hollywood will, you know, hopefully sort of start to realize that there is more to filmmaking than kind of, you know, movies about superheroes or sort of, you know, animated features about princesses.
Yeah. Well, we hope so. But going back to this kind of thing about the ideas behind the film, I mean, is your worldview that kind of human animals are pretty dark, dodgy creature who is kind of out to trick and betray his fellow man? Is that, or is that just something to be explored, or is that just a thrill? You know, like a frisson.
Well, there's quite a lot to unpack there. I mean, I guess that, you know, human beings are complicated, and I think that movies often fail to kind of explore the complicated nature of human beings, and something that I've always sort of tried to explore with my shorts and Exit is the kind of ambiguity around things like morality and stuff like that. You know, mainstream cinema, you know, really very much portrays people in terms of these very sort of black and white. So we just got producer Lou Nosbod lurking around in the background.
Hello, we saw you.
Sorry, just give me something to lean on. Yeah, that's better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, I dislike sort of value judgments being made about characters in terms of like, you know, this is the good character, this is the bad character. You're supposed to hate this one and really like this one, and wow, let's go on a journey with them and let's see how much they change. I really dislike that, and I think, you know, very few of the characters in Exit, for example, can be considered 100%, you know, entirely virtuous. But also, I think that, you know, that's closer to real life. Human beings are complicated. You know, they don't just have a sudden epiphany. Many people go through their life without really ever reaching a state of realization, as do many of the characters in Exit. But and I think that, yeah, I mean, the sort of dark side of human nature, I think, makes for far better storytelling than good people.
Well said. So let's talk about the making of the film. I understand it's your first feature. So can you tell us about that transition and how that differed from making shorts?
Sure. I mean, I guess like everybody who kind of makes a short film, at some point you kind of sort of think, well, you know, I made a short film. How much more difficult can it be to make a feature film? Because, you know, surely it's the same process, just a bit longer. And Matt Bayliss and I had a kind of conversation about 2 years ago after a short that was called Dead Celebrities. And we kind of threw some ideas around about, you know, what realistically could we do on an independent film budget. And we put a couple of provisos in place. And one of these was, you know, single location, small ensemble cast. And it had to be a very sort of British film. And that really, I guess, was the starting point. We took our time with casting, and we really wanted to get it right, because essentially the production of Exit took place across 7 days in the apartment that you see. We lived in that apartment, as did, you know, a large number of the cast and crew, and, you know, pretty much a lot of the claustrophobia that you see on screen is as a result of the actual shooting process, which we had a freakishly hot late May, which is when we sort of like shot the film, and everybody just kind of boiled. But I think some of the sort of claustrophobia and tension that there is in Exit is as a result of the actual sort of circumstances. But in terms of actual production, you know, it was a 7-day shoot, and then it took slightly longer to kind of like edit. And I worked very closely with our composer, Nick Burtons, to actually score the movie. So I did a rough edit, then kind of took it to Nick and sort of said, look, this is the rough edit I've got. These are the reference tracks that I've used. Could you actually sort of like score, you know, a soundtrack for us? And so I guess really that's how, you know, we eventually, after a period of almost 2 years, ended up with the feature that we got.
That's cool. And finances, did you raise some, or was it
a combination of raising money, begging money, blackmail, robbing, arson, things like that? You know, just like any independent filmmaker, really. You know, just to make the budget, we did all sorts, which will probably land us in jail one day.
Sold a kidney.
Yeah, a couple of kidneys.
Got it. Couple. Great. Yeah, tell me more about directing in this claustrophobic kind of environment, and basically getting your actors to do nudity, sex scenes, and also the violence. So, well, let's do sex first.
We'll deal with the sex and then seamlessly into the violence.
Exactly.
I mean, to be honest, I got a lot of time and respect for actors, because, you know, I mean, particularly the actors we used, they did a lot of preparation for their roles. And, you know, you're asking actors to kind of suddenly sort of, you know, turn on an emotion or, you know, get into a character. And then you're sort of saying to them, look, you know, after lunch, we're going to go and do this scene in which you're sort of in a completely different state of mind. So I've got a lot of time for actors as far as that goes. And everybody always kind of asks about the adult scenes. And really, as a director, you're not kind of particularly focused on that. You're kind of checking the camera, you're checking the lighting, you're kind of sort of thinking, well, what have I got to shoot next? And really, you know, you kind of, I think you kind of treat it as much as you would any other performance, from the point of view that, you know, you're encouraging, you're supportive, and you just want to make your actors feel comfortable. And you know, I was chatting to some of the actors recently, and they just all sort of said how much fun it was, because really, you know, I really hate this cliche, but I'm going to use it. We did end up becoming like a kind of big family, because to get it done, we essentially had to sort of, you know, breakfast together and shoot some long days. But in terms of those, I guess, more adult scenes, it's all about making your actors feel comfortable, and I never really want to be exploitative, because, you know, that's cheap and that's easy. And I think that in terms of kind of the reasons why, you know, the kind of sort of like sex is there, it's there for a purpose, and there is a dreamlike logic to Exit. And, you know, let's face it, a large percentage of people's subconscious is dealing with issues around, you know, sex and, you know, things related to that. Now, moving on to the violence,
via the drugs, we could just go on the
no, we're just going to ignore the drugs. So moving on to the violence.
But what about the psychedelic state? How did you have a vision in mind, or was it post? Like,
yes,
pretty heavy on post.
No, I mean, I'm a big fan of a 1960s British film called Performance, which is,
of course,
great movie. And it's all about these kind of two characters played by Edward Fox and Mick Jagger, who are kind of mutually fascinated by each other, and sex, drugs, and violence again kind of come into play. And there is a lot of performance actually in Exit.
Yeah.
But really, the use of the drugs in Exit is more of a kind of enabling some of the characters to kind of explore and kind of go places they wouldn't normally. And I think that, you know, I've always enjoyed those kind of sort of 60s and 70s movies that tried to, you know, explore the drug experience on screen. And I think that, you know, it does. I always think that really, if there's a scene in your movie which is not pushing the narrative forward, then it shouldn't be there. And so in terms of the kind of sort of drug use in Exit, you know, it's not just sort of gratuitously lobbed in for the sake of it. It is about these characters slowly coming undone within this rather sort of strange space. And as for the violence, certainly helps with distribution deals. No, really, I think that kind of like actions always have consequences, and I think that we wanted to sort of like show the consequences of that. And I think that really, as an independent filmmaker, you've got certain sort of like areas and places that you can go that that kind of Hollywood isn't going to go. And so really we did put in some of those kind of more extreme scenes, although I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but many of the deaths actually relate directly to the particular sins and hang-ups that characters have. So characters who are particularly voyeuristic, for example, find their voyeurism punished.
I see.
Or somebody obsessed with fashion reaches a particular death as a consequence of their obsession.
I see. That I hadn't realized that adds something definitely to the experience. I had some questions from Martin Payne, who was going to join us, but sadly can't. He was really interested in how you did that scene, but he describes it so ambiguously, that the one involving a cooking device.
Yes. Oh God. There is a scene involving a microwave, which somebody in a recent interview I did referred to as Chekhov's microwave, which I kind of like. That's a great description for it. Yes, there is. Oh God, trying to avoid spoilers for people who've not seen it. The microwave. I grew up, as I say, watching trash 80s cinema like Mike and Alex, who you were chatting to earlier. And many of the deaths in 1980s movies seem to evolve either around gardening tools and sort of like DIY appliances, or indeed a fair amount of deaths involving sort of electrified kitchen gadgets like electric knives and, or in our case, a microwave. I mean, there is a sort of, there's an interesting story about the microwave. We've always been kind of not particularly specific about the time frame that we set Exit in, and so I wanted an old microwave, and we eventually managed to kind of source one off of eBay for a quid, but we had to go and pick it up, and we kind of knocked on this door in North London, and we sort of said to the guy, "We've come for your microwave," to which he sort of said, "I'm using it." To which we sort of said, "Well, we need it. We've paid £1 for this. You know, we want our microwave." He said, "Well, you could borrow it." And we sort of said, "Well, we don't want to borrow it. You know, we actually want to, we're going to use it in a film. We're going to break it. We're going to smash it up." It was only after a while we realised we actually had the wrong house. But this fella was actually going to give us his microwave after he'd finished dinner in it. But yes, Chekhov's microwave. So for those of you who've not seen Exit, keep an eye out for that microwave. Don't trust it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great story, Michael. So I get the sense you have a lot of knack for promotion. You made us some great videos to celebrate, you know,
thank you,
your screening. So how's that working? I mean, are you getting distribution discussions? I mean,
yeah, I mean, we're kind of in discussion about distribution, but you know, these are pretty lean times for independent filmmakers, and the kind of distribution deals that you could have expected several years ago are just not out there. We're exploring possibilities at the moment about how to kind of move forward, but I think you know, we really want to get Exit out to a wider audience, and we're just looking at various ways that we can do that. I mean, I think that there is an appetite for, you know, independent movies, because, you know, Netflix and Amazon Prime can only give you so much, as indeed, you know, can terrestrial TV. And I think that, you know, there is still a place for independent filmmakers. And I think that, you know, we're going to try and get our movie out there and sort of build upon the sort of promotional work we've been doing so far.
Fantastic. So can you tell us what you've been doing since, and your future plans, basically? What's going on now?
Well, we've had a little bit of time on our hands. Recently. As indeed as the whole world.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously we're kind of sort of thinking about what our next project will be, and we're kind of working through ideas in terms of you know, what we kind of want to do and what we want to achieve and where we want to go next. We don't just want to kind of do another Exit, you know, a sequel to Exit or a prequel to Exit, you know, Entrance. We're kind of sort of mindful of that kind of tendency these days with filmmakers, just to kind of make more of the same, because you know, it worked last time, so we're just going to give the audience exactly the same. So we are kind of working on a number of projects at the moment, which are fairly embryonic in stage, but you know, we're doing some writing. We've actually had a sort of run of success in the US. We've had a number of screenings, and we've actually picked up some awards. So speaking of some shameless self-promotion, we got an Audience Choice Award at the Sick and Wrong Film Festival in Florida, and we're nominated for some awards at the Genre Blast Festival in Virginia. I mean, to be honest with you, the buzz at the moment, we've really sort of picked up quite a lot of traction from a number of the festivals that we've been in recently,
cool.
Yours included. And you know, to be honest with you, we're getting a lot of positive feedback, and it's one of those strange things about sort of, you know, filmmaking within a digital age, that in some respects it's just so much easier than it used to be to actually connect with people all around the world. And whilst, you know, sort of COVID-19 has hit physical festivals, the kind of virtual ones, as you know, I'm sure you're finding, are just enabling us to connect with people on a level we've never been able to previously. So whilst I've had screenings in America with sort of things that we've produced, I've never been able to do Q&As or sort of like answer direct questions from audiences. So it's actually been really nice, you know. But yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment. We're getting quite a few screenings through from festivals, and for an indie filmmaker, this is where you kind of this is what leads you to your distribution deal, because distributors kind of want to know where you've played and what kind of sort of awards you've picked up, and what things people have said about your movie, whether they hated it or loathed it or loved it. And really the only way that you can sort of like, you know, objectively sort of show that is through sort of what you're getting from festivals. So a big thank you to you, James, and your team for selecting Exit and sort of giving us the time to have a chat about the movie.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And on that note, in 4 minutes' time, I'm going to click a button that will turn our virtual screening room into the Twilight Zone. And your film, along with Ice Cream on the Beach and Ophelia,
yeah.
Mason Bells, will be available until the early hours of the morning.
So that's a triple bill and a half, isn't it?
That is. That would be quite a night.
You're going to have some pretty disturbed individuals come 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's basically when our technician will be pulled out of bed to resume our normal service. Fantastic. No, but it is a little bonus, because previously we'd have a lot of difficulty screening features. I mean, and particularly screen features that are pushing boundaries that we're trying to support. There was a feature we screened at Brighton University Theatre by one of the filmmakers I've just mentioned, and we were almost thrown out by the projectionist.
Whoa.
And certainly banned from using premises again, you know. You took
yeah,
exception.
but you know, I mean, this is you know, these are the rock and roll stories that you don't really get with mainstream cinema. You know, this is the interesting stuff that that really, you know, we'll all be talking about when we're a great deal older and grayer, and sort of saying, oh, do you remember that time? And I think that sort of what is acceptable and unacceptable is very sort of time specific, and I think that what people find shocking or not, you know, does change over time. But I think I know the filmmaker you're talking about.
Indeed, that one. Michael, real pleasure talking to you. Best of luck with your projects and the rest, and hope that we'll meet in person next year.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, thanks for having us, James, and best of luck with the rest of the festival.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.